She did say that she was telling you no when you were trying to go down on her and that she was hitting you. In this call, he revealed he asked for and received CSAM. Also, he initiated sexual stuff with me 9 times and even recorded some of it. Ooh, 2 10-second clips completely out of context without the full call log.
Yeah.
So that we could get evidence that you're diddling minors.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Kmplxity. Welcome back to The Lasting Opinion. In the last video, we went over FPSD Soul's expose when it came to CameronF305, the newer takeover of, is that even a phrase? The person who took over the content cop and made one on iDubbbz. If you haven't seen it, it's completely blown up and it was a fundraiser. Unfortunately for Cameron, it did bring up some old drama and some kind of new drama too. As you can see here, he did put out a response to which we'll be taking a look at today. So let's get right into it. It says, "Hello, I knew that eventually this would come up, and I initially thought that since many of these allegations had already been disproven in the past, this situation..." Reload. All right. This is a situation from around 1.5 years ago that I wouldn't need to respond. However, after seeing the situation unfold, after a video of FPS Diesel released, rehashing the situation, many people have begun to promote false allegations, which I do not blame Diesel for, drawn gross conclusions and have attacked others who've promoted me or collaborated with me. For the sake of objectivity and being concise, any hearsay will not be mentioned in this document." Well, good faith, I can agree why you shouldn't put hearsay in there. But considering you are also the person determining what is hearsay, it could be more advantageous for you to just simply say, "Oh, that's hearsay," and not put it in, but benefit of the doubt. Regarding the allegations last year, I never sexually assaulted anyone. Diesel has implied he doesn't believe I was some sort of predator in his original video, and the girl involved said I never sexually assaulted her. Something she did say that she was telling you no when you were trying to go down on her and that she was hitting you. So, something I'd also like to mention about this situation is the call that is shown between me and Anne, the girl involved. In this call that was being recorded without my knowledge, I called it. Anne starts the conversation talking about the hookup we had, then initially changes to an unrelated topic, me picking her up. The actual context of this conversation has been clarified already in the past. On an occasion when we were hanging out, I had picked her up while hugging her. I didn't know this was something she was uncomfortable with. First and foremost, why are you going to meet a minor by yourselves and somebody to whom you already knew was groomed by your employer? That isn't a good look. I didn't know this was something she was uncomfortable with. After she asked for me to put her down, she explained she had past trauma related to being lifted up. I had no idea of this and apologized. She responded saying, "It's okay, you didn't know." As I have already shown, she confirmed herself on several occasions that I never sexually assaulted her. Diesel has also cast doubt on the girl and these allegations several times in both videos. I in no way condone Yandere Dev's behavior. I left the project once I learned the full extent of his actions. For context, I had been a fan of Yandere Simulator since I was 11. In late 2019, when I was 15, I joined the project as a composer/production assistant, slowly working my way up to lead composer. I used to look up to Yandere Dev. We grew close and developed a friendship where I was encouraged to defend him on several occasions. In hindsight, this was probably very inappropriate. Well, it doesn't seem like you're taking responsibility there, because you're saying probably very inappropriate, which means that you don't entirely believe it was wrong of you to defend this person who was guilty of something. It seems like you're trying to offer, like, yeah, it might have been bad, maybe not. Since I considered Alex a friend and had believed he had been misrepresented in the past, I initially believed him. I regret my behavior. Oh, hold on. Fast forward to September 2023, these allegations come out. Yandere Dev lied to me, claiming the girl Anne had told him she was of legal age. See below images, we'll get to that. Since I considered Alex a friend and had believed he had been misrepresented in the past, I initially believed him. That was dumb. There's a thing that's called, there's a saying, trust but verify. You can trust somebody's word based off of their character and who you know them to be, but you should verify what you're being told. I regret my behavior in these calls and wish I hadn't jumped to his defense. Okay, there we go. Some owning of his actions. However, it was hard to cope with the fact that someone I looked up to and saw as a friend had done something so heinous. Understandable. After leaving, I was required to finish music related to contractual obligations, hence music being released after my departure. Screenshots of the following page. For context, Yandere Dev / Alex's Discord was deleted shortly after the allegation surfaced. Okay. Initial messages from Yandere Dev about the situation. Cam, I've got really bad news. I unwittingly gave someone ammunition to create a Yandere Dev is evil predator who preys on minors video. Okay. A few weeks ago, a fan began to persistently beg me to have a voice call with them. They reminded me of a friend I made years ago. That's scary. And I really missed that friend, so I decided to VC with them. This was a huge fucking mistake. They were underage. Yeah. Once I got comfortable with them and thought I could speak candidly, I started asking questions like, these days, do high school girls notice how much money they could make on OnlyFans and plan to start OnlyFans even when they turn 18? What about you? Are you going to do it? Bro. Dude. Okay. All right, buddy. You ran head for... Questions like this taken out of context make it sound like I'm saying, I know that I am talking to an underage girl and I'm trying to convince her to go into porn. Bro, you're asking somebody that you know is underage if they're going to then turn around and do OnlyFans once they hit 18. What in the fuck? Like, these aren't conversations you should be having, period, with any sort of minor. Like, what is your fucking departure in your brain, bro? Jesus Christ. I'm told that the video is going to be 2 hours long, and I'm certain that it's going to be cut and edited to make me look as bad as possible. Bro, you already look bad. You already look bad. Like, what the fuck? I may need to actually get a lawyer for this one. Worst case scenario, I'm reported to the FBI and there's an actual real investigation over it. They seize my computer and collect evidence, etc., and I won't be able to work on the game for months. Oh yeah, that's the worst case scenario. That you won't be able to work on your game. This is bad, really bad. The worst part is that I know a lot of people are going to fall for it 100%, and I feel I've completely let them down. You, Uni, Adolphin, anyone I worked hard to build a good relationship with. In my situation, what would you start doing right at this very moment? Okay, this was on 09/20/23 at 11:02 p.m. And the next screenshot we have here is from 10/03/23 at 11:28 a.m. So this is like, how many days later is that? That's freaking October 31st plus 11 plus 4. That's like 15 days later. I'm sorry I was a little, this is from Cameron. I'm sorry I was a little grumpy when you contacted me. I was on call for hours with people trying to talk to me about this. I was so frustrated and upset that all of this happened and that he would let his friends down. I probably should have stayed offline. I want to make a correction to something I said back. To something I said looking back. I did leave the project about a week ago, if you weren't aware. When I said I'd support him, I meant I wanted to make sure he gets away from the game and take time to build himself and a better person. into a better person, hopefully hands the game off and gets better. I took a break. I've been distraught. He was my friend, and while many people thought this wasn't surprising, to me this was. I got to know him well, and I thought he grew out of that kind of behavior because he didn't act the same when the same way he did all those years ago. I'm still crushed. Whoa. You thought he got out of the behavior of talking sexually with minors? That's not a very good look. Again, I'm sorry for how grumpy I acted last week. I was not feeling good, extremely crushed by all of this. Calamari, I understand you are probably going through a lot right now, so I won't tell you anything that you're probably already thinking. I'll just say that it's important to keep the right company, and if you have to continually justify keeping said company, perhaps it's the right company to keep. Yo, this person is spitting. Listen, if you have to be constantly defending the friends or the company you keep, you might be in the wrong company of people. Like, I'm just saying. Cameron, I don't plan on keeping him around. I am really hurt by it all. I just pray he becomes a better person. Calamari, I'm glad to hear you deserve better. Talking about being lied to and explaining why I'm leaving the project. Okay, so that's the second screenshot. This screenshot here, this was all before I learned the extent of his action. Later in October, I grilled Alex on his behavior in a call. In this call, he revealed he asked for and received CSAM, and that he listened to this minor bastard. Jesus Christ. It was at this point where I completely and utterly disillusioned at what I just heard, or I was completely and utterly disillusioned to what I just heard. Someone who I thought was my friend did these things after letting this information process. A few days later, I informed his local police of the admission. See email to police that follow on following page. Okay, the screenshot 10/02/23. Cameron, Alex, I need to be real with you. I'm not comfortable working on the project anymore. I still haven't completely processed everything that's happened. But Christ, the snap messages saying I'll keep it a secret. What the hell were you thinking? Then after everything, I caught you lying to me. That really hurt. I looked up to you. I was your friend. Last night you cried to me and called me your only true friend. I want to be there for you because of that, but this kind of stuff makes it hard. I can't defend you. You fucked up. Yeah, there is no defense of this. I will have my hand out for help if you need some, but after this contract is up, I won't be making any more songs for the game. I wouldn't have my hand out to somebody like this at all. The simple fact that you stated that you would have your hand out for help if he needs some is a little it's alarming. Like, why would you want to help somebody that is objectively at worst or at most credible, the most charitable you can be, a fucking idiot who has no social skills whatsoever and thinks that it's okay to be sexual with minors, okay? At worst is a pedophile. Why would you want to help or even in any way, shape, or form be associated with this person, even if it's behind closed doors? And then Dev turns around and says, that really sucks to hear. All right, let's move on to the email. It's evidence regarding Alexander Mahan, Cameron business. Here's the request information regarding the call with Alexander Mahan admitting to several crimes. 2 attachments. It says evidence regarding Alexander mailed by Gmail, riversidesheriff.org. Okay. Then the reason I didn't volunteer this information to FPS Diesel or anyone for that matter should be obvious. I'm not going to give an admission of a crime to a drama YouTuber instead of the police. I don't care who they claim to be connected with. Diesel himself noted that this situation had been poorly handled and I didn't want to contribute to that. Many months later, since there was no action taken, I did finally give this information to the moderators of r/Osana, linked above, so that at least the public could know. On this note, one thing I feel is important to point out about this situation is that in his video, Diesel describes that he lied to get information from people. So did I. Oh no, don't use that. Don't use the, he's like, oh yeah, I did it too. Come on, I didn't entirely regret playing nice with Alex to get that admission from him. Okay, you're talking about Alex. I was concerned he was about to go and talk and be like, yeah, I lied to Diesel about, you know, sleeping with this person to see what he knew. With all of that said, this is all I really feel the need to comment on. Really? You're not going to comment at all on the videos and the phone calls of you turning around and admitting that you slept with this person? You don't feel that that warrants a response? Or the fact that you claimed you were being blackmailed and not offering any evidence to the contrary? Or any evidence that supports you? I'd like to thank all of the people who've reached out with support. Simply put, I'm not going to let something dumb I did at 19 nor a short fling I had as a teenager with a 2.5-year age gap ruin my career. I will be the first to admit that I regret my past work on Yandere Simulator as well as many of my actions while handling the controversy. But I will not accept the notion that I was in any way an accessory to help Yandere Dev groom somebody or that I did so myself. Thank you for reading. Okay. There's a couple of issues I have. First and foremost, he feels as though the only things he needs to comment on is him showing that he had a disdain for what Alex/Dev did. That he is here talking about how he had an issue with him. And that's pretty much it. He also explains why he didn't put out the email of him sending it to the sheriff's office, which, that's okay. But in no way, shape, or form do you address you don't address the fact that you said that you slept with this person. You don't address the fact that you stated that you were being blackmailed to say this. You don't provide any evidence that shows that you were being blackmailed. Yeah, all I'm reading from this is that this dude, he learned apparently, right, if we're to take his word, you know, that he talked to people about that Yandere Dev misrepresented the situation. At least from this one screenshot, we can derive that information that he misrepresented the situation. From the second screenshot, we can learn that he was upset over the fact that Yandere Dev misrepresented the situation. That doesn't really do a whole lot here. And then in this one is just, this third screenshot is just him basically saying he can't work on the job, or he can't work on the project anymore. He says that this was all before I learned the extent of his action later in October. Obviously, there's no way to prove that he knew about this stuff prior to what he's claiming in late October, or I mean, at least no proof that anybody has readily available and is willing to share. He does show that he did send the evidence to at least Riverside Sheriff. But the fact that you don't feel it's necessary to address the fact that you're in a phone call talking about going down on a 16-year-old and how she was hitting you and telling you no and all these different things. Obviously, we haven't listened, I haven't listened to the full call, so who knows? But the fact that you don't even think that it's necessary to comment on the fact that you said you slept with her, right? And then here it says you never sexually assaulted anybody. Okay, well, that doesn't necessarily mean you didn't sleep with somebody who was 16. In this call that was being recorded without my knowledge, Anne starts the conversation talking about the, in quotation, hookup we had. Okay, so with it being in quotations, I'm deriving that you're saying it wasn't an actual hookup. That maybe you were trying for it, or that you guys were having some sort of passion, or whatever the hell. You guys were getting all touchy-feely and you didn't actually seal the deal. That's what it seems like here. Or he could just be completely denying it in earnest. Or not in earnest, but in totality. I feel like this is very lackluster. It only addresses 2 points that he's offering evidence that he talked about how he felt when he supposedly learned about the extent of what Yandere Dev did, and that he reported it to the police. That's about it. I mean, yes, does Yandere Dev misrepresent this to Alex? Sure, but we don't see the correspondence afterwards. We don't see what he says, and that's a little jarring considering he's asking, what would you do in this situation? Yandere Dev is asking Cameron what he would do in this situation, and I'd love to see what that response is. That would be good. The only thing here that I see is Yandere Dev misrepresented what occurred between him and Anne, and that he sent 2 phone calls to the sheriff's department, and that's it. That's all I'm seeing here. The only 2 solid things I can say on this in Cameron's defense is that, like I said, Dev misrepresented what occurred, and he did send 2 calls that I personally haven't heard to the sheriff's department, and that's it. I don't know. I don't feel like this is an adequate response to all of the allegations that are out there. He is claiming that he had a fling with a 16-year-old, which sounds like it is, again, legal in that state, the age of consent at 16 or whatever the fuck. I mean, yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I just personally, this isn't enough for me to turn around and basically be like, oh yeah, all these allegations are BS or anything like that. I think it's more telling that he isn't willing to cover or talk about or add any defense to his previous admissions. I think it's more telling that he's not willing to do that. He's probably learned that the efforts he's made in the past to negate those admissions didn't help him so much, so he's just refusing to interact with it in general. Yeah, that's all I got, guys. All right, time for the second part of this video, going over the hyperlinks. So the first one takes us to r/Osana, and it's a pretty long one, guys, so I'm gonna read it out. It's no secret that we here at r/Osana, this was a year ago, had made a tumultuous history with, Jesus Christ, history with CameronF305, former composer and production assistant of Yandere Simulator. For the game's 10th anniversary, we had planned a 10-day-long event showcasing some of the more heinous history and accusations against Yandere Dev and others close to him. It was backed by evidence that was either yet to be made public or had been long forgotten by the general public. Seems a little convenient there, but we'll see. Our goal was to spend the time focusing on criminal action of Yandere Simulator's more prominent contributors, something we felt was more important than celebrating the silly anime game made by a child abuser. Well, at least that's good. The 8th day of this event was sent to be dedicated to Cameron and act as a response to a recent video he had posted maligning, I don't even know what the fuck, I don't know. Many involved in this situation. I do not know that fucking word. Such as multiple r/Osana moderators, community members, and YouTubers Kmplxity and Calamari. In the hours leading up to the post, one of the moderators had reached out to Cameron to potentially negotiate a ceasefire of sorts. To be quite frank, we felt the situation was dissolving into a never-ending petty slap fight with no meaningful resolution. A petty slap fight? While there was accusations of statutory rape going on? It's a little interesting. We weren't certain Cameron would respond or even be open to any negotiations, but he was, and the conversations were quite civil and productive. This led to further talks after Cameron requested to explain himself. We were extremely skeptical, but open to hearing what he had to say. Over the past week, several of us, r/Osana mods, had spent numerous hours in a call with Cameron discussing the situation and scrutinizing the evidence. To put this into perspective, our first call was over 12 hours straight. Jesus Christ. The second was 9, and the third, bringing Kmplxity into the mix, was 10 hours. Cameron was well and thoroughly questioned about everything, and the results of these discussions were as follows. 1. Jane lied to multiple people about Cameron committing heinous acts and framed him to appear as a predator. The reason for why she did this remains unknown. Jane lied to Cameron about Ali and vice versa, essentially pitting them against each other to view the other in an extremely negative light. Again, reasons unknown. Kmplxity had also lied about what occurred during her time spent with Cameron. To be clear, Cameron has still made mistakes that this new information does not entirely absolve him from, though he has shown that what we believe to be genuine remorse and offered apologies to those affected. However, we can confidently say that none of those mistakes were criminal or predatory in nature. If any irrefutable evidence later comes to light that contradicts this, our goodwill towards Cameron will be revoked. We want to emphasize that we would never even consider making this post if we had any lingering doubt in what Cameron has said. We do not expect the community to immediately welcome him with open arms, but we do want to clear the air and set the record straight. All of us would also like to extend our sincerest apologies to Cameron for the part we took in spreading false allegations against him. It is important to protect and listen to victims when they come forward, no matter what. And that is exactly what we aim to do. However, in this instance, we were unfortunately dealing with individuals who are profoundly mentally ill. Well, I'd have to agree with you on that. Who are not receiving help they need, also agree, and have proven themselves to be exceedingly dishonest in a multitude of other ways. Most likely true. Therefore, we should have done our due diligence before platforming such heinous allegations to such a large community. False accusations of this nature not only can ruin someone's life, but also harms other genuine victims. While Jane's actions regarding Cameron are inexcusable, she's still legally a child. No one should harass her or contact her for any reasons. Even reaching out to her with good intentions will be pointless. She is also still proven to be a victim of Alex Mahan, especially as more audio has recently been released of him admitting to requesting and receiving CSAM and listening to a minor masturbating voice call. Yeah, we already listened to that. We don't need to anymore. This won't instantly rebuild all bridges that have been burned over the years, though we hope it's a good start to making amends. Thank you for taking the time to read this. You're welcome, and for your understanding. From Cameron. Hey, it's hard to even find words to describe how the past 4 months have felt. First off, I really want to thank Renard. They have been the catalyst to this all happening. If we didn't get in contact, I think the hell would still be ongoing. I also want to extend my gratitude to Maddie, Ali, and yes, even Nazo. They all took time to hear my side, see my receipts, and pick my brain to get full side of the story. I'd like to apologize. Okay, at this point, we haven't seen those phone calls though, so the general public doesn't seem to have the same receipts that they got. Considering I don't know anything about this part of the internet and these people, I don't know their character or anything of that nature, so basically just simply going off of scrutiny and skepticism, not having seen the receipts myself, it's a little difficult to turn around and simply be like, oh, okay. Anyways, they took the time to hear my side, see my receipts, and pick my brain to get my full side of the story. They also gave me the chance to do the same, to understand their side and to reach a middle ground to the point where we all felt we've reached the truth in this situation. I know in the past I haven't gotten along or agreed with this community for various, from my perspective, valid reasons, but I want to extend a new branch of good faith moving forward. I have never been a man to hold a grudge, and I don't like having or fostering negativity. That's also good. While I gotta fully say with my chest that I have absolutely made mistakes in this situation, hell, we all have, I want to make clear that I never assaulted anyone or committed any sort of crime. So again, it is sounding like the age of consent is at the very least 16 in this situation, which is why he continues to say that he hasn't committed any crime. As far as the assault allegations, if I'm not mistaken, like Diesel said, she retracted that, so that is no longer part of the case either. I'd like to tactfully give someone perspective on my side of choices to give some clarity to those who may be concerned. When Anne first made any allegations against me, I had reasons for not wanting to cut her off. I really cared about her. Anne was there for me during a situation that nobody else I knew could understand. When the stuff that with Alex came out, I was crushed. She was the only person there for me. Well, you also reached out to her. Did you not talk to other people about this? Even in your own Google document, you showed you talking to somebody else. The initial reason I even had contact with her was to get the real story. Like I said in the past, I had a real hard time coming to terms with the fact that someone I had looked up to and considered a good friend for many years had done something so awful. She was polite, funny, caring, and understanding throughout those conversations, which caused us to get close. I had never seen a different side of her up until she started attacking me, which left me dumbfounded and confused. But you did see a different side of her. You knew that this was going on between, I'm not going to say he knew. It seems as though an argument could be made that you knew that she was a liar and that she did all of these things during the whole Yandere Dev and her and Ali situation. So you could have, an argument could be made that you knew she was prone to lying. After 2 days, she called to apologize. During this time, I still cared about her. I didn't know what to do. To me, this wasn't out of character for her, and I couldn't stomach getting rid of her. So I hoped that with time, things would be sorted out. She seemed really invested in wanting to fix her mistake. This was a massive mistake on my part. The second she made a serious false allegations against me, I should have cut her off immediately. No matter how much I cared about her or was worried about her, I understand that now. It seems like he's really utilizing the age of consent in this situation. Legally, is he wrong? No. Morally, or at least it seems like legally he's not wrong, or he's not legally culpable for something. Now, moral arguments are always going to be off of how you feel. I stand firm that I never lied or changed my story regarding Kmplxity. Everything I stated in my video still stands. After speaking extensively with Renard and comparing our experiences with Kmplxity, it has become abundantly clear the extent to which she is willing to lie and that her behavior has not changed. I honestly believe she has trouble accepting reality and taking accountability. I do still hope that she gets the help she needs, as it is very clear that she has several issues that have not been treated. However, given that she has refused my and Renard's previous efforts to connect her to professional help, I won't hold my breath. Fair. I'd like to reiterate the apology I already made through my YouTube community tab that some of you may not have seen yet. I am not proud of the way that I handled the pressure of this situation with Alex, as well as the accusations against me. Especially after taking the time to get to know Ali, I feel awful about the way I portrayed her. It doesn't represent who I am as a person. Well, I don't know the whole situation with Ali, so I can't speak on that. The past 4 months have been incredibly difficult. Being accused of things you didn't do, losing clients, friends, and hope over something that did not happen is a feeling I cannot describe. Knowing in your heart, okay, but when he says it didn't happen, he's referring, I'm assuming he's referring to rape. He's not stating that they didn't sleep together. Knowing in your heart you didn't do these things, waking up to new stuff being said about you, receiving the grossest hate mailing comments you can imagine, and not being able to trust anyone you talk to in fear. Oh, not being able to trust anyone you talk to in fear that they will be the next person to lie about you is no way to live. I'd agree with that. Yeah. I say this all in the hopes of gaining, I say this all not in the hopes of gaining sympathy, but in the hope that people will have more caution when dealing with serious accusations. I totally agree with the fact that people should have more caution with stuff like this. I am all for believing victims. I think every victim deserves the most support for their situation, and it's always best to take things as seriously as possible. But I do want to encourage people to be more careful. Verify information and don't be quick to attack. I would urge you to remember always that there is a real human being on the other end of the internet who will receive the knee-jerk hateful comments that might be written. Very true. And those comments can have a real impact on someone who may not deserve it. One last thing that I want to stress is about Anne. I want to make it clear that I don't hate her. In fact, I do still care about her. However, we are no longer in contact and I have no plans of reaching out to her. All right, smart. He did that a year ago, so she has previously been the victim of a lot of abuse, which is not my story to tell. I think that anybody who does something like this in her, does something like she does, definitely has gone through some shit. Yeah. With that being said, I strongly discourage any further discussion of her. Well, people are going to talk. It's drama. Like we're talking about it a year later. I think it's best for people to leave her alone. She can be a really sweet person. I've experienced that side of her, and I think the right help and enough time, she can grow into being the person I know she can be. I won't defend her actions, but I think it's time to move on from discussing her once and for all. Perpetuating this situation does not help with what she's currently dealing with. Thank you for reading, Cam. All right. So this was the post from a year ago, and then he was saying that in this call that was being recorded without my knowledge, Anne stays a conversation about the hookup we had, then initially changes it to in some way, shape, or form and a predator in his original video.
One. Cameron ended up on the receiving end of many rumors during this, as the idiot brigade of Kami and Ali tried to get Cameron on pedophilia allegations. Now, I'm not going to address the age discourse of a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old hooking up. I don't really need to say anything, as it stands on its own. I do want to mention, however, how stupid Cameron is. Is Cameron friends with Dev now? Well, I don't really know for sure. Was he friendly at the time that he hooked up with Anne? Yes. He had more information than anyone else about Anne. He knew about the alleged extortion. He knew about the recordings, the backpedaling, the lying, all of it. And this idiot still went and slept with her. Since that time, Cameron got accused of rape in a roundabout way.
Not at all saying he's a predator or anything, but just don't take what he says about her as fact. She's 100% a psycho bitch, but Cameron can be really manipulative and good at downplaying things, which we did kind of hear in those videos. Also, he initiated sexual stuff with me 9 times and even recorded some of it. Ooh, well, I don't know if he deleted them like I asked him to, plus the dick pic wasn't his naked penis and it was erect in his underwear and he was showing me. Okay, so he did a little gray sweatpants situation.
Anne got accused of assault by many more and was thrown every accusation under the sun by Team Ali and Kami. Now this is where that dick pic I mentioned about Kami leaking comes from, right? So there are 3 fucking versions of this photo, so determining the original seems basically difficult to impossible. Decepticami posted the first image to my knowledge, saying how Cameron has been, quote, acting in Alex's favor to hurt the victim. So now they were
Decepticami. I want everyone to know that while Alex is the main predator here, Cameron has been acting in Alex's favor to hurt the victim. This includes Cameron flashing his dick to Jane on call without consent, as well as allegedly, according to Jane, blackmailing her. Ooh.
Tag team grooming? but he was grooming on Alex's orders. Okay, got it, whatever. That's insane, in my opinion. I think that's insane, right? That's a little bit insane.
Yeah, it's
What's
kind of
funny
insane.
is that yet again, Anne accused someone of blackmail here, as she sent this to Ali and Kami in a group chat. Now, at the time,
And, guys, may I send something? Allie, sure. And I believe he was in his redemption arc, scribbled for safety. Allie, please tell me that's not what I think it is. And sad face. Allie, what a snake. How did that even happen? And I'm not entirely sure.
Kami and Ali claimed a dick pic was the original, which there are two versions. Originally, it was said that this image, the censored one, was censored because there was a cock in it. There's also an uncensored version of this exact image with no cock. There's also a third image that has neither of those things, and the originator of the image is a chronic 4chan liar. Either way, this didn't stop Kami from schizo posting forensic evidence of what...
Okay. So that was, D-Sil has implied he doesn't believe I was some sort of predator in his original video. But see, the thing is, right, if this video was made a year ago, so your opinion can change over a year with new information that comes to light. So just because he didn't believe it then doesn't necessarily mean he didn't see something now that he would believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. The actual context of this conversation has been clarified already in the past. So is this okay? I originally released these calls last year responding to these allegations. So we have a 23-second clip of a phone call with Anne and Cameron. Okay.
I didn't know you didn't like being picked up. I put you down. It's not sexual.
I had like a Spurg freak out and they're acting like I had a rational response.
And that it had nothing to do with sex, and I did something that made you uncomfortable. That's accurate, and it's okay. Perfect.
What am I supposed to glean from that? Two 10-second clips completely out of context without the full call log, and one of them was the... Hold on.
I didn't know you didn't like being picked up. I put you down. It's not sexual.
I had like a Spurg freak out and they're acting like I had a rational response.
I had a Spurg freak out in there. Okay, so this sounds like the both of them know that this is being recorded. This first 10-second clip sounds like they both know that this is being recorded.
And that it had nothing to do with sex, and I did something that made you uncomfortable. That's accurate, and it's okay. Perfect.
And see, that also sounds like they both know that it's being recorded here and they're coming to an agreement. We don't know the correspondence that happened prior to this. We don't even know the full call. He said he originally released these calls last year in response to the allegations. So apparently they're out there. But the thing is we don't know the correspondence behind the scenes. Obviously, conspiratorial brain here. They could easily have made an agreement to sweep this under the rug because both of them were getting a bunch of harassment. It seems too polished, especially with him being like, I didn't sexually assault you, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Perfect. Like, it sounds rehearsed.
Do with sex, and
Had nothing to do with sex.
I did something that made you uncomfortable.
And I did something that made you uncomfortable, right?
That's accurate, and it's
That's accurate, right? Like, yeah, that's what happened, right?
okay. Perfect.
And then for him to say perfect afterwards, it's like, man, scrutiny is scrutiny is scrutiny, bro. Saying perfect accurate afterwards is like, yes, bravo, you did it. Yes, that's exactly how I wanted you to say it. Like, it's out of context here. Okay. She responded saying, it's okay, you didn't know. As I have already shown, she confirmed herself on several occasions that I never sexually assaulted her.
Cranberry.
Was I actually...
Made a joke.
Was that...
Ha-ha.
Yeah, and you looked so terrified in that clip.
Oh, I was so terrified.
You were shaking
I
in
was
your
scared
boots.
for my life. I thought you were gonna come assault me.
Embarrassing. So you had a call with Krexa. Your story changed a lot. She asked you to get her words were get
evidence of like us and be like, you just get him for him. It was like,
no, get evidence of him soliciting you for sex. If you don't have this evidence.
So Krexa,
she told you to
wanted me to like solicit myself to you.
Yeah.
So that we could get evidence that you're diddling minors.
Yeah.
Which is...
Okay, but if this is true, why wouldn't Anne send the proof that Kmplxity was wanting that? If it happened in DMs, all you have to do is screenshot it and send it. If it happened in a voice call, I mean, she's been recording all of these different calls. Why wouldn't she record that one? And there's just too many questions right now.
Almost what Allie did with Alex, but Alex was actually a bad person and he fell for it. And then you...
I didn't.
You were not trying to...
I didn't fall for it, just for you.
To get involved with me, because clearly that has consequences.
Wait, what?
Trying to... You...
I didn't.
You were not trying to get involved with me, because clearly that has consequences.
You were clearly not trying to get involved with me because clearly that has consequences. But then he admits to having slept with her.
Speaking of, this was ridiculous.
Okay. All right. Okay. I never sexually assaulted her. Diesel also cast doubt on the girl and these allegations several times in both videos.
Said that this image, the censored one, was censored because there was a cock in it.
Okay, well, we watched that part. Yeah. It seems like a lot of people were just doing a ton of lying here. Everybody wanted their clip. Everybody wanted everything like for themselves. There's just no real way. I mean, this is an actual convoluted story because everybody's going to be putting forth the information that they think is, the most inflammatory. After leaving, I was required to finish music related to... Okay, let's see. What is this?
So,
Oh, okay. So this is his... Basically him saying that he's contractually obligated. I don't really care much about that. If that's the case, that's the case. Yeah, we listened to that already. Diesel describes that he lied to get information from people. I'm going to assume this is from his newest video.
Admittedly, I played nice.
Yes, it is. All right. Okay. So... he makes an admission that he was with this person, that he slept with this person, that he didn't assault this person, that it was all consensual. And under the guise of age of consent, it seems as though that there is no legal ramifications that can be done here. There's a lot of lying, a lot of misinformation, a lot of all of this back and forth. So it seems as though the waters have been so incredibly muddied and nobody here is a reliable source. So there's no real way of knowing exactly what occurred. It seems like there was a lot of backdoor conversations, a lot of agreements made. I really don't know. At the end of the day, if the age of consent is 16, obviously he's not in any legal fault here. Morally speaking, to get involved with somebody who you believed was groomed by your friend is wrong. Like, it really just is. I don't know. But the fact that he isn't willing to even discuss the fact that he lied, or that he said that he slept with her, then said that he lied about it, then said that he was being blackmailed over it. Like, the fact that he's not even willing to discuss any of that is just, I don't know. I definitely am understanding like Gamma had an issue with all of this, and by issue I mean he wasn't entirely sure as to what he was saying, or not entirely sure as to what he was saying, but not entirely sure how to feel about everything. it's YouTube. And this is what I'm going to say. As long as he continues to put out good content, nobody's really going to care. That really is the bottom line. I don't believe that the next video he puts out is going to get nearly the same amount of traction as the last content cop. I could be completely wrong, but the fact that he had a massive rise to popularity because of that video, he's gonna have to follow it up with the next one. And with all the controversy looming and everything, who knows? It just simply seems that even if police was to look into this, there's just too much information for there to be any sort of a story here that can be derived. There's just a bunch of different questions, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy. There's just so much. Honestly, there's too many people lying and provably lying for any real thing to be derived from this. People who dislike him are going to dislike him. People who like him are going to like him. And people who don't care just want entertainment. With that being said, I have been one of your hosts, Kmplxity. Thanks for watching The Lasting Opinion, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Chaos brews inside the room. Voices of contention blooms. The king's eyes filled with boiling rage. Zeph steps up to the high stage. Explode the silence, break the chains. Never been a better name in the game. In this blood cast fiery flame, words like bullets in your brain. Don't forget to have a smirk. Plex's words